Welcome to Warrior Networking. I'm David Roberts. Today, I'm honored to introduce two doctors focused on real root cause health. Dr. Ronit Mor is a naturopathic doctor, author, speaker, computer scientist, and former corporate executive. After her own personal health crisis, she embarked on a healing journey that brought her profound insights and ignited her lifelong passion for naturopathic medicine and root cause wellness. She's also the architect behind HealthPotentialAnalytics, a functional health assessment designed to reveal the underlying patterns driving chronic and autoimmune challenges. Now, Dr. Russell Skinner, MD, he's board certified and founded Family Health and Wellness of Plano on a simple belief: you deserve to be seen as a whole person. He blends modern medicine with integrative whole body care, including hormone replacement therapy, weight loss, performance enhancement, and additional advanced care options. Their joint mission is to make root cause informed wellness accessible, practical, and deeply empowering. What excites me most is they partnered to write Unlock Your Health Potential, a practical roadmap, not just hype. Today, we're diving into why people get stuck chasing symptoms, why the traditional system doesn't quite work for everybody, how to find true root causes, and why sustainable health underpins sustainable success. So let's go. So, welcome to our special Warrior Networking interview here. As we launch Warrior Wellness, one of the things I wanted to do is make sure, as we talk about all the things that are possible in terms of unlocking your health potential, we'll use the title of this wonderful book that you've written, and talk about how we can possibly apply that. I tend to focus on entrepreneurs, small business owners, and individuals that are really trying to stay in business longer, as well as not have to deal with a bunch of health issues. We've gone through a lot of stuff over the last, I happen to have known both of you for 8-9 years, and you've made an impact on my life. So that's one of my primary reasons for wanting to have this conversation with you and to get it out there for everybody else. So let me talk a little bit about Dr. Moore, and there's much more detail if you heard her episode on Warrior versus Zombie, so I'll refer you back to that. But she's a naturopathic doctor, and she can explain a little bit more. But she's also was a computer scientist before that, and really a corporate executive. So if you're coming at this thing from any of those angles, Ronit can relate to you. She has a thriving career, and after her personal health crisis, and we went into that on the episode, it's very powerful. She realized that the pursuit of the root cause, not just looking at the specific illness she had at the time, or maybe her cousin had that kind of brought her into, and taking a more comprehensive approach. She always believed in the medical system that we know as Western medicine and respected that, as I do. And I know, obviously, as an MD, Russ, you do as well. But she's become the architect behind this Health Potential Analytics tool, as well as, again, this book, Unlocking Your Health Potential. So I want to kind of get, what excites me the most really is the fact that we have a resource here now that's not just Warrior Networking. We have a very diverse group, and we have people that have supplements and patches and all kinds of, as we would say in the health space, modalities, ways to help us. We used to talk the full compass of possibilities from everything. And I have no problem with that at all. But the starting point from that is to take what your body's telling you, right? Mm-hmm. And then take and make something. So I think that's what excites me. So we're going to explore kind of some questions about why are we stuck just chasing symptoms? Because I know, Russ, in your practice, and I know, you run into that, right? Somebody just keeps coming back, keeps coming and go. So tell me a little bit, how did you guys ultimately, I kind of know a little bit, but explain to the audience how you kind of came together to write this book and and get this out there, which I think is a game changer from my perspective.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ronit. Ladies first. You can start, and then
Okay.
Russ can, correct you where you're wrong.
Yeah.
No, I'm just...
So, we basically worked together very closely for about 10 years.
Mhm.
And it started by both of us kind of like checking the water, so to speak, suspiciously a little bit. And then it became a full-blown collaboration. And we met at the intersection of both of us have the same passion. We would love to empower people to reclaim their health.
Mhm.
So in the process of working together, we found that the common denominator that is missing in both health paradigms, the functional paradigm and the conventional paradigm, is really through identification of root causes. Okay. And as long as you don't identify root causes, then the results, the outcomes that you achieve is not sustainable. It's not long term and it's not sustainable. So we collaborated very closely for 10 years, and we have seen so many success stories. And that inspired us to take it to the next level of outside our clinic.
Mhm.
Because in our clinic, we could reach just a limited number of people. But once we take it out to the public and we publish a book that is based on our clinical experience, and also make the algorithm, the online assessment, available to the public, and also add an e-training type platform, then we are able to affect much more expensive, with change and impact.
So that's the vision, and Russ, I'm assuming you kind of share that vision. Looking at it from your angle, what do you see in your partnership and such?
Absolutely. As Ronit said, we've been working together nearly a decade, and we both brought our own strengths and limitations to it. In my background with traditional medicine, what I was missing, what I wasn't trained in, was the nutritional root cause side of things. And Ronit came to me and said, "Look, I've got patients, but I need to get testing, and I can't order stuff. There's next steps, and some of the stuff I can't do." And so we found ourselves kind of all on the same page, but I can only get that far, and I can only get this far. And so when we first kind of joined up, it was so we could fill in each other's missing parts, and be able to take a patient and say, okay, now we can address everything that we need to talk about. You're just going to have two people working with you instead of one. One person doesn't know everything. And so over the years now, then it became, there are so many more people we could help, but they can't all get here. It's like, okay, well,
you've only got so many hours in a day, right?
How do you get it out there? And so that's where kind of the book came from, is that our ability to kind of reach people and give them the tools to be able to then go to a practitioner with a cohesive explanation of what's going on. So many times people come in and they say, I don't know, I just don't feel good. Like, well, what are you supposed to do with I don't feel good? But when they can come back and say, I've done some analytics, and this looks like one of my main problems. Okay, well, now we can start that and say, okay, how do we work that up? And so I think the book's going to be extremely powerful for people that use it and go through the steps as it's laid out, and really be able to then go to a practitioner and say, this is what I think is going on. Help me confirm.
Well, go ahead.
I wanted to add one more thing. the magnificence of our collaboration. So when I started working with people, one of my challenges was that people came to me after many years of working with conventional doctors and not reaching lasting improvements. And they came to me with the attitude of, we don't want to see medical doctors ever again. And I didn't think it's wise, because I think there is place for both of the paradigms, okay, depending on the situation and the needs. So when I try to work with their medical doctors, it didn't succeed because they were very dismissive. They only thought that conventional medicine, that's it and nothing else, And when I met Dr. Skinner and I saw how open he is for integrative approach, that really encouraged me. So then when we were working together, we achieved much better results because the patient was able to trust both of us, because now they had the best of both worlds. They had a very open-minded medical doctor taking care of them and supervising the process. You need to supervise it, because when people are taking medications, you can't just send them home and tell them stop taking it. You have to be supervised, okay? And it's irresponsible for someone like me that is not a medical doctor to tell a patient stop taking a certain medication. So one of the biggest values that we had in our relationship and in our collaboration is that I was able to discuss with him the weaning off of certain medication or the decreasing, the dosages. But he supervised and he made the final decision because that's his specialty. It's not my specialty, So that was really unique and something that I haven't experienced before with medical doctor.
Well, and it's very powerful what you just said from my perspective, because I'm coming at it, and I think from a client perspective. I'm your client, both of your clients. And I would say, first of all, everything you said is exactly what I've experienced. So that this cooperation, Dr. Russ knows that I'm not into pharmaceuticals. I'm not into unnecessary interventions, that I really want to maintain my wellness, but I wasn't always there. I mean, some of the things I learned from you, I still apply in terms of understanding, listening to the symptoms, and then making adjustments. So let me ask you this. So, one of the things is I just want to say, when in my network, in the warrior networking space, we say show up to serve, not just to sell. And part of the problem that you just described, I think sometimes is, okay, this is going to affect my revenue stream. And I hate to say it that way, but right, there's money that comes with this, right? And so if I send them down this path, they're not coming to me anymore. And then clearly in the pharmaceutical space and other areas, there's other drivers, right? Yeah. But we say show up to serve. And I see that exemplified in the way you guys are approaching wellness, and why I think it's so important before you start, even if it's not pharmaceuticals, but it's, other types of interventions like supplements and those kinds of things. So tell me, Ronit, when you are, as you wrote this, but I know in your practice in total, what are the kind of the most common symptoms or things that you see, and that people come to you and then you're able to kind of unpack a little bit, and that maybe you mentioned they've gone the whole route with conventional medicine in some cases, and you've been able to turn it around, whether it's type 2 diabetes, there's a lot of things, I know.
Yeah, there are a lot of things, but once you go beyond the diagnosis, because diabetes is a diagnosis, right? And
Right.
So let's first of all define what a diagnosis is. It's a label attached to a combination of symptoms. Okay. So then for me, I always go to the level. First of all, to the level of the symptoms. I want the person to list to me what are the symptoms that he or she are experiencing, right? So mostly the most common symptoms are fatigue, anxiety, weight loss resistance, like people are trying to lose weight and not succeeding, brain fog, many times even depression, but definitely mood issues. So those are the most common. Did I miss any?
I would
Those
agree.
are the
I'd agree
most
100%.
common. Yeah. And then many times, let's take fatigue, for example. So people are under the impression that, oh, yeah, well, I'm tired. Well, chronic fatigue is not just being tired, okay? And you shouldn't learn to live with chronic fatigue. It's a systemic issue, okay? So you can embark on it again with a naturopath, or you can, if possible, if you can find a health team that brings both, then you will have a much more accurate diagnosis and much more responsible path for healing, because you have both perspective. And two doctors, it's always good. I mean, I come from the technology world originally. It's always good to have more than one opinion on anything.
Sure.
Especially
Second opinion
if
is
you
a
have-
kind of a normal thing.
Yeah,
right?
and especially if they come from different angles, then it's much more powerful.
One of the things that occurs to me just listening to you talk, Ronit, is, and this is really for Russ, is the gap between the treatment of acute illness that's really inherent. And probably we have the best system on the planet when it comes to Western medicine. I mean, if you're acute, you got a broken leg, you got this, you got that. I've had some acute situations you've helped me deal with, but it's she used the term chronic.
Yes.
So in that gap, the toolkit. So tell me about that. Your toolkit versus why the team thing works for you.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think our traditional Western medicine, as you said, spot on, is great at acute care.
Mm-hmm.
And I think traditional medicine is good at chronic disease management.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are some chronic diseases that are not resolvable.
Mm-hmm.
Type 1 diabetes, for example.
Sure.
Patient does not make insulin.
Absolutely.
There's not a supplement that's going to make them not diabetic anymore. And so they need to be managed. And there are other similar things that fall into that. But I think where my gap starts is, okay, I've diagnosed X and I can treat that. But Western medicine tends to stop. Most common, low thyroid. Here's your thyroid medication. We're done now. And we refill that every month, and away you go. And even though there are some patients that do have thyroid disorders that are not overcomable, and that is what they will need for treatment, there's a lot that are overcomable, but we stop looking.
Mm-hmm.
Just call it good, and then
we've made the diagnosis. We've got a treatment for it. Have a nice day. and we just kind of stop. And I don't know if that's because we've stopped being curious, which could be part of it. And I think the other is that the system in which physicians we have to operate. We've got a 10 to 15 minute appointment. We've got limited number of tests that insurance will cover. We've got a patient that may or may not be highly motivated to find out something underneath. Yes. Or just say, well, my mom had low thyroid, so I think I've got low thyroid. My test says it. Where's my prescription? And so I can get on about my life. And I think for the traditional, I think for allopathic, doctors, I think sometimes we assume everyone thinks that way. Just give me my pills so I can go. And I really just continue on a weekly basis to be amazed at the level at which people will try to change their lifestyle, will try to do something different in order to not have this disease, if you will give them the opportunity to do it. But if all they've ever been presented is a prescription, then they think that's all there is. But when you say, you could do X, Y, Z and not have to be on a medication, it's amazing how many people go, okay.
Yes.
I didn't know that's all I had. I absolutely will do that.
Well, because back to the financial aspect of it, and some of it is whether it's Medicare or whether it's the insurance companies or whatever, right? They're trying to keep you in a box to keep you from spending too much money.
Right.
We don't want to spend as a client or patient. We don't want to spend any more out of pocket we have to.
Yeah.
So the crazy thing is, the solutions a lot of times are just what we put in our mouth, or getting up and moving regularly, or hydrating. I know that's a big one. I mean, right. Those are all things.
So it's simple.
Yeah.
Simple things.
It's really back to basics.
So it is simple. This book looks complex. I actually took this book to another meeting today, and somebody going, I'll never read all that. I said, you don't have to.
Exactly.
The reality of it is, it's more like a reference book. It's like, it's so well footnoted. Again, this is my feedback. I wrote a pretty glowing review on your book, because honestly, it is. It is it's something that I'm giving away a lot of books. It's not one I'm going to give away, because I'm going to have it as a resource, and it's footnoted. You've got all the references, so you can have some faith in it. There's a lot of lack of faith these days, whether it's in the traditional medical, or even people selling pills, potions, and whatever, because the financial thing keeps that kind of going. Let me ask this. So let's talk about the health potential analytics and unlocking your health potential in terms of how that's kind of bringing it together. Can we talk about that a little bit, Ronit? You want to start the ball on that one? Just like your approach to this, what it is for somebody who hasn't actually read the book yet, maybe, or that's considering.
So let's go back to the root cause. Okay. So we have one of our signature talks to corporate. The corporate world is the revolution, the root cause revolution. Okay. So we cannot obtain lasting, sustainable health outcomes if we don't take care of the root causes. When we look at symptoms are just your body's way of communicating to you, of trying to get your attention. Your job is to try and understand what your body is telling you. In most cases, most of us don't know what the body is trying to tell us when we have a headache on a daily basis, or when we are groggy when we get up in the morning. Okay. So, or if we have anxiety, what is the body trying to communicate with us? So we wrote this book to help people start unpacking the layers of the symptoms and going underneath, digging underneath the symptoms to try and understand, what is my body trying to communicate to me? That's what we are trying to do here. But this is a reference book that can be used by practitioners and by general public, okay? Because many practitioners, again, on both sides of the aisle, are not such big experts in identifying root causes, okay? They are also, even on the alternative side, and Russ has seen it so frequently, on the alternative side, practitioners are using the same methods as allopathic doctors. They keep focusing on the symptoms rather than identifying the root causes. So what we are doing here is, first of all, with the book, we are equipping people to start translating the language of the body, okay? And understanding what a symptom may mean, and then providing them with an initial blueprint of what can I do quickly to get some relief until I have a more methodical approach led by a practitioner, by a professional. Okay. In addition, what we did is we developed a first of its kind, state-of-the-art app that automate the process that is offered by the book and offers, again, in a few minutes, an automated process of mapping your symptoms into potential root causes. And that's this is unbelievable gift. Within less than 10 minutes, you can get a complete mapping that identify root cause patterns, potential root cause patterns, and then you can take it with you to your doctor and say, hey, maybe we can start focusing
Maybe these are the areas.
our process, and our diagnostics to address some of these major patterns that are presented by this assessment. So it helps you with working with a doctor, or if your symptoms are not that bad, maybe you can do some work at home and start by following some of the tips that we give here and resolve.
So you can find some of the things that anybody can do without necessarily the intervention of a doctor. However,
yes,
Russ, from your perspective as an MD, if you have this, if I walk into you, and I already kind of know the answer, but just explain it to the audience. If I walk into you with this thing, this report, and it says, here's some areas, you're probably going to do some other tests, some other analysis to kind of confirm. Then we can, bring out the right tool.
Right.
Tell me about,
In depending on the severity, somebody might come in and say, I've gone through this and it says I could start doing these things, but I kind of didn't want to start without talking to somebody. Sometimes they just want some reassurance. And so somebody come in and say, it says I should be avoiding these things in my diet. Is that okay for me to do? And I may have some of the simple answers. Yeah, just do what it says, and let's see
what happens.
See what you feel in 30 days. But there are going to be others that may come in and I've tested a high root cause for me is my gut health. Okay, is there a way? Yeah, there's some things we can do to help confirm whether or not that's really the problem or not before we just sink into, because especially as Ronit will echo, gut health, that's not a 30-day turnaround. And so before you kind of start down this path that could be months to see if it's going to make a difference, let's do some confirmatory things, because this really seemed to be the underlying problem. Because the symptom analysis will give you likely, less likely, not very likely root causes. But that doesn't mean it is the cause.
Right.
It's just likely. And some of those likely ones probably are. That's why they're testing so likely. But it doesn't mean that everyone on there is like, and there's a lot of cross reactivity sort of thing where one problem may manifest in multiple areas.
Yes.
Ronit mentioned the app, and that's one thing that is really helpful for that application. All the testing that you can do in the book are to determine each root cause. So is this root cause? You take a question. Is this one? But a lot of those questions are the same. So it becomes repetitive as you're going through the book. Now, that's fine. Works just great. But if you're limited on time, going online and doing it because it carries those symptoms that you've already said yes to forward for all those root cause problems. That's why it becomes, how come you can get through this whole book in 10 minutes online? Well, that's why. Because there's a lot of those questions that are repetitive as you move through. You're not having to answer yes and no over and over and over again when you do it online. It collates all that information together.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's powerful. So one of the things that you always say, I know, Ronit, because I've heard you before, is that you can't solve a problem with the same thinking, same approach that created it. When you talk about symptoms and testing and analysis and possibilities, we have to kind of think about those symptoms. If the symptom is there and you look at a blood, for example, I'm just using this as an example, you use a blood test and there's nothing in the blood that looks abnormal. Well, first of all, what is normal? Because our abnormal ranges here in the Western U.S. is not normal.
They
They
vary
can
from one lab
create
to the
symptoms
next,
and everything could be normal,
Yes.
right? I have symptoms and, well, I'm not normal. That's okay. But anyway, so what makes the difference with regard to this approach in general, Ronit? I mean, just going in, are you finding that people are jumping into this and taking the bull by the horns, or are we getting that? Because it takes getting started. It's like beginning is half done. And if you start down the path, that's what we've been talking about a little bit. When you look at the journey, and you've had a lot of clients with a lot of journeys,
Yeah.
a lot of stories we could do there. What do you think is kind of the kind of the turning point a lot of times in the various?
So I'll let Russ also comment about it, but I think what I've seen is people try. Usually they go the conventional route because that's what in the Western world, that's what we're used to, and they notice after a few years that really the bottom line is they are not getting better, they are getting worse. Because originally they started with a couple of symptoms and one medication, and now 5 years later they are on 3 or 4 or 5 different medications.
Or 7, like I was before I met you guys. Yeah.
And things are not getting better, they are getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
And they wake up one day and they're like, this is not working for me. I must say that there is a percentage of the population that it is working for them. They only want to swallow pills, right? And they are not interested in making an effort because it is an effort. Because when you go the natural route, you have to change your lifestyle. And there is nothing harder on earth than changing your lifestyle for all of us. Okay? So a person needs to be in a place where they are desperate, they cannot continue like this anymore, but also ready to take action. And so usually those are the people, and with Russ, many times he will ask a patient, he can see that the patient can make some changes in their lifestyle, and he will ask the patient, would you like to take a natural approach? And the person would say, no, no, I'm not interested.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it is a long-term commitment to lifestyle,
absolutely.
because it's not a diet, it's not a pill, it's not a supplement. It's a whole package of lifestyle, right?
Yeah. And people don't realize that small, consistent habits will end up yielding extraordinary results. But, you can start small.
Yeah.
Small. And just be consistent. That's the most important thing, consistency over intensity,
Yeah. Well, I can amen that for sure. I mean,
I would like
go ahead, Russ.
No, I agree. I think, and as you've talked about in your Warrior Network of that idea of service, one thing that our office tries to do is to serve what your needs are. And sometimes I know what your needs are, and you may not, but you come in with, I need help with X. Okay, well, what can I do to help serve that need? And sometimes it's I need an antibiotic for my sore throat. Okay, we can do that. This is your 4th sore throat this year. We ought to talk about some other things. Nope, that's all I need. Okay, I don't have to get uppity about it. I'm not here to beat you over the head with other things you should be doing different. I'm here to come alongside you and help your healthcare journey the way you want it to be. And patients will come in, they want to try something else. I'm like, look, I'll let you try whatever until it's not working. And then when it's not, I'm going to offer some advice, but I'm okay if that's how you want to start out with this. Somebody that says, you know what, this is probably the last time I need antibiotics this year. Like, all right, we can do it. We can go with that. I'll see you in a few months, and then we'll talk again. And so but I think coming alongside people, giving them a partner that can help guide them rather than try to tell them what to do.
Yes.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, none of us like being told what to do. I've got a teenager at home, and he doesn't like being told what to do. And I told him the other day, I said, you have to learn to do what you're told. It's important to do what you're told sometimes.
Sometimes it has to be our decision, though.
Right.
I mean, that's the key.
That is key.
And you both hit on that in a different way, but the key is the patient has to decide that the pain is enough that the change is going to be worth it, right?
Yeah.
And maybe
until the pain of saying is worse than the pain of change.
Exactly.
You don't do anything.
And we hate change.
We do.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody hates
That's
change.
right. Change hurts more than staying right here. Then I will stay right here, even if that's miserable.
Yes.
Because the idea of change seems worse. Ronit talked about how small changes, and I hope audience listen, small changes over time become big changes.
Yes.
You're on a cruise ship going across the ocean, you're off your heading by a degree, you miss the other side by hundreds of miles. So making these small corrections can really bring you back on track. And we all want to see overnight results, and that doesn't always happen. Yeah. But we can build on that. Probably the most common thing I see is people don't exercise. Their guys don't have time to exercise. And it's like you don't have an hour and a half every day to exercise. Not yet. It's not in your schedule. But if you have 5 minutes or 10 minutes to go for a walk, start doing that every day. Because after a few weeks of that, you could go 15 minutes. Yes. Another 5 minutes doesn't make a big difference. And then, and all I'm like, well, what kind of shape will I get into walking 10 minutes a day? And I'm like, probably not a whole lot better where you are now. But it's a start that you can then begin to build on. Your schedule is full. All of us have a full schedule. I don't have a free hour to just go do something.
Yes.
It has to be sustainable in your lifestyle, but you can engineer it in over time. Exactly. We talk about that.
Absolutely. Even like at your lunch break, just take a walk around the building and go back to your office.
Yeah, during COVID, I bought a stand desk so that I could be standing and on my feet and moving around as opposed to sitting there on these virtual meetings.
I got a little walking pad from Amazon that is right by my desk. And every couple of hours, I just get on it, walk for 10 or 15 minutes, and then go back. So at least I'm moving while I'm working on my desktop, So you can do all kind of little things, even if it was just 5 minutes. I also, in the book and also in the training, we developed online training for people that would love to in a more methodical fashion, start making those incremental changes in their life. So we developed a program, an 8-week program that is really powerful. So in that program, we explain about micro movements, even like, I don't know, like doing this. I mean, just micro movements. Every little thing makes a difference.
One of the things, and I'm going to say that, is there's so many possible things that can be wrong with us. And there's so many possible solutions.
Yes.
But what about, give me kind of, be a little tactical here, or be a little prescriptive, if that's a good word. If I were to say today, okay, I like what I'm hearing here. I love the fact that I've got a MD and an ND, and they're working together and they're talking, and they produce this book and this methodology. How do I go about, can you give me like just the steps, Ronit, as terms of how to put it into practice right now with the book, the tools, the resources you just talked about, just kind of a thumbnail of what somebody might want to do? Yeah.
So basically, there are a few foundations for our health that are very basic.
Okay.
And no one ever really taught us. They taught us algebra and differential, mathematics and history and whatnot, political science, but they don't teach us the foundations of our health. And the foundations are very basic. Your hydration, how much water do you drink? Your nutrition, your movement, your sun exposure. Okay, so your sleep quality, sleep routine, so really basic things of how you operate on a daily basis. So since no one taught us how to do this, then you can pick up the book and start reading it and take the first few quizzes. And when you see that you have a red flag on one of the root causes, then just jump to the back of the book. At the last part of the book, you can find blueprints of like little things that you can do immediately.
Okay.
Easy, do it yourself. So if chronic dehydration turns out to be a red flag, then okay, so start with that little battle, of starting to drink more water throughout the day. So follow the tips on how do I make myself it. It sounds easy, but it's not easy when someone is not thirsty and is drinking only 1 or 2 glasses of water a day.
I know.
It's not easy. So we give several practical tips. It's very, very practical so then focus on your hydration. Even if it takes you 3 months, focus on your hydration. You don't have to do everything immediately. Okay. You can choose your battles, take one thing, and then once you feel comfortable that you made the change and now you're finally hydrating, first of all, your energy is going to skyrocket, okay? Then your headaches are going to be gone. Your body is going to be detoxing more efficiently, so you will feel less lethargic, So small things, just
So get started.
Choose your battles, choose your priorities. The book will help you. The assessment will help you even, quicker to identify your red flags and just choose one red flag. Don't try to change your life in a span of 24 hours. Okay, it's not going.
Don't read the
work.
book and try to put it all into practice.
Yeah. One step at a time.
And the other thing, for most people to keep in mind is that we have 24 root causes in the book. Not everyone has all of those. Most people aren't going to have 20 root cause problems. They're going to have a few. Now, we've both treated people that had lots of root cause problems, but that's the exception, not the rule. Most people have 2 or 3. It's some gut health. It's a little inflammation. Maybe they're underhydrated. It's very few. And so, although the book is set to understand what those root causes are and why they're important and move your way through and test all your things and then move into all your blueprints, we made it very fluid. And so somebody can say, look, I don't want to worry about reading. I don't have time. I don't want to read a bunch of background on stuff that may not pertain to me. Okay, skip that part. Go to the assessment. Take that assessment. If it's a 0, move on. You could work your way through just doing the tests in a matter of an hour. And then now I've got 4 root problems. Now go back. What's the background for those root problems? What do I need to understand about that? What's the blueprint say to do about this? Because a patient may only have 2. And if it's hydration and sun exposure, they're real easy to fix.
Yes.
If it's hydration and not enough sleep, that can be harder to fix. But at the root, it's easy to fix.
Yes.
It's just a matter of getting it scheduled to fix.
Yeah.
And so you can really take this book and use it as the reference workbook that it really is, and figure out what you've got time to do and work your way through it. Not everyone will need every blueprint in that book. Not everyone will.
Yes.
Most people will probably only need a few. But the thing is I don't know which few you'll need,
Right.
I'll need, or y'all out there are going to need. And so that's why they're all in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's brilliant because, frankly, if I had to sit down, I can read pretty fast. I go through it. I blew it. But the reality is to study it, to figure it out, to I'm not going to do that. So that's what I was, it's like, okay, look at the book, realize, you're going to make a decision to do something different. And then, you guys already talked about, tracking, looking at your energy levels, kind of an audit, of how you're feeling, pay attention to your symptoms, make some changes and see what happens. That's kind of, that's not really that complex, and you can get started, and we're all looking for the quick fixes, right? I mean, we're just very impatient. I'm very impatient, right? So we want to get the symptom out of the way. On the other hand, we don't want it to come back either.
Right.
And so I think that's what you guys are saying. And this tool can get you what you just said, Russ, is it can get you fast started into that process. So I love that. So when I look at, Warrior Networking, what we're doing, trying to serve these people, I think that this is probably one of the most fundamental things, because if you don't have your health, you just don't have anything. And then it can drain your finances and everything else. If we were to kind of, let's say, land the plane here and talk about it, one of the things I want to talk about, because of my own personal focus of mindset, vision, when both of you, when you see people coming in and you listen to them talk and they either respond or don't respond to the book, what is the importance of their mindset as you look at it in the whole process? I think we've already hit on it a little bit, but just, is it important? The mind-body connection?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's almost
it's kind of like, of course, but to put it into words, somebody's thought, somebody's belief matters. If I pick up this book and say, this is never going to help me, guess what? It's never going to help you.
Mm-hmm.
If you pick this up going, I think there's stuff in here that I could benefit from, you'll find things in there to benefit from. And so I think people's attitudes going into any sort of treatment, whether that's nutritional, lifestyle changes, medication, there's an aspect of the belief that what I'm doing is going to help. It's that positive attitude of things. I have patients that, they don't take any medicines, they're in good health, and you look at them and their lifestyle is like, there's not necessarily a reason. I mean, this isn't somebody that's, vegetarian, exercises 6 days a week, perfect weight. No, they're like, they're middle-aged, they're a little fluffy, their diet's pretty good. They try to exercise and they have zero health problems. And part of it is because they're happy, they're not depressed, they're not chronically stressed out, they get adequate rest, they have purpose.
Yeah.
They're
good relationships. Yeah.
And they are healthier. Our mental health dramatically affects our physical.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, I wanted to add that, when we work with people, for me, the mindset reflects by their commitment to the process. So many times in my case, in my clinic, I would get a person that is not committed. So
they want the outcome, but they're not willing to commit to the process. So
whenever they're not committed, I'm not interested in working with them because it's a waste of time for me and them. No, they have to be committed. And it's okay. There is no judgment here or nothing. As Russ said, when the pain of same is greater than the pain of change, then they will be committed. So it's not there. We are not there yet.
Well, I think the power of this tool, and from my own perspective, really, is that idea that it gives you kind of enough confidence in committing to a path. Whereas I'll tell you, there's a lot of disinformation. There's a lot of different perspectives. Take this pill and you'll be okay. Do this, and whether it's pharmaceutical, supplement, whatever, do this, and it's, I'll tell you, my own journey. I decided to cut sugar out. I lost 70 pounds, but I also lost all the symptoms. And then working to clean up my diet and doing some other things that are in this book and that Ronit taught, and the symptoms went away. But it starts with that first step, and it just happened. I learned I was gluten sensitive, learned I was dairy sensitive, learned all these things that she probably would have told me, yeah, you are. But I didn't know until I made the change and then tried to back up a little bit and realize, okay, now the symptoms are coming back.
Yeah.
That's
you develop an awareness. In the process, you develop an awareness, and then when the symptoms show up, you immediately pay attention, because at this point, everything is clean. You are mostly feeling very well, and the most little thing is going to catch your attention, because at this point you have awareness and you no longer live in the previous paradigm of everything is normal. No, it's not normal. Having symptoms is common, but it's not normal. Normal, remember my joke?
Yeah.
I used to joke and say normal is, okay, common is sick, dead. And normal is
I quote
healthy,
that all the time.
Healthy, dead. Okay, that's how it should be.
So for the skeptics, and they're all, again, one of the things we're dealing with in the world that we're in right now, and here, in 2020, we were dealing with COVID when we first had the episode. When now, in the compounding of things that resulted in death in some people, right? All these things that we're talking about. As we look at today and skepticism about, okay, is this tool any different or whatever? What do you say to those folks? Other than they're crazy, but no, I just, what would you say? Somebody says, well, I don't know. It's just like everything. There's a lot of books out there. There's a lot of programs, right? We're inundated with those these days. More information, no wisdom, but we got a lot of information.
Yeah.
If somebody asked me, why should they, do this book and not 10 other books? My first quip would be, how well have those books helped you? If they haven't, then you haven't found the answer yet.
Especially if they're seeing you, because you're a family doctor. They're probably coming to you with a reason, right?
And so it's like, what's it gonna cost you to try this? It's not. And most of those blueprints are not, go spend a fortune to correct this problem. They're not. Most of the time, it's start doing this and stop doing that. That's kind of it. But the problem is that there's a whole lot of things that I think I ought to start or stop. And I have no idea what. And most people come in and go, I know I'm not eating well. You go, okay, well, tell me about your diet. Well, and they don't even know what they ate yesterday. So it's like, yeah, you're probably right. You're probably needed to change how you eat, but you really don't know where to start. And, and I know I should exercise more. Okay, well, how much you need to exercise? We just don't know. And I know Ronit and I both, we don't expect a patient to come to us and understand all this. They understand IT and auto mechanics and sales, and which I don't understand any of that stuff. Not my specialty. And so we don't expect, and nobody should expect of themselves that I should just know this stuff. You aren't expected to know this stuff. So just like when a check engine light goes on in my car, I take it to somebody that knows what that means. Mm-hmm. You're at home not feeling good when your check engine light's on.
Yes.
Beautiful. I love that example.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pick up a manual or go see a mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a DIYer, pick up a manual. It'll tell you, that's what our book does. It'll tell you why that check engine light's on. and what you need to do about it. And it might say, as a lot of I like to work on my own cars. Take to a mechanic. You know what I mean? That's what you have to do. This isn't something you can fix at home. And there's going to be some things you can't fix at home. And that's why you need to see one of us or someone like us. But I think for the skeptic, it's, look, this is not complicated stuff. It's educational stuff. You just don't know that you don't know these things. And this isn't an investment in weeks and weeks and weeks. I mean, if you're a fast reader, you can get through this book in a weekend.
Yeah, it doesn't take long.
Just to read the material. Where's this coming from? And it doesn't take a big commitment. And then if you find through your tests, through the quizzes, that you just have a few things, then this isn't even a major undertaking to fix these things. And that's where most people are going to find themselves. But the person that's like, geez, I scored 100 on every quiz. Okay, you got a long future in front of you, but that's okay. You've got a starting place now. You know what's going on.
You know what the baseline is. You know where you're at.
Yeah. If you don't know where you are, you don't know how to get to where you want to go.
What do you say, Ronit? Because this has been almost your life's work now as you've evolved here, doing all the research and analysis. I know that, you don't sleep much and you do a lot. So what's your response on the skeptic side?
Yeah, I would say that there is a lot of hype on social media, a lot of disinformation, a lot of hidden agenda behind most of the recommendations because people actually make money. So it's not only the pharmaceutical industry that is making money on medications, also many other companies are making money on their solutions that they're offering, the alternative solutions. So it's not very cut and clear between the two industries, okay? So I would say just use your judgment and be skeptic. Actually, I want people to be skeptic and not to rush to any solution, and always ask yourself, am I addressing a symptom, or am I actually trying to listen to my body and take care of the underlying causes that brought my body to communicate to me through this symptom? So when you look at when you watch influencers and follow the latest hype, no matter what it is, always ask yourself, is this a real solution to a root cause? Or am I slapping another Band-Aid on my problems?
And that Band-Aid might cause other problems. That's part of the problem.
Absolutely.
So as I always end my podcast, and I'd like to end this discussion here with what I would call final wisdom. If the person watching this or listening to this or whatever medium they have this discussion, if they take away one thing from what we've talked about here, one thing, just the most important thing, Russ, what would you say that would be? I'm going to give Ronit the final word.
I would say one takeaway is that you have to know where you are. You have to know where you're starting. I can't leave on vacation what route do you take if you don't know where you are? And these assessments will tell you where you are and then give you a route to get to where you are.
Amen. All right.
Nice. I love it. My message to people is, because most of the people that really the main audience that we are targeting are the people that have chronic conditions, okay? So my message to them is, your body is not broken. It's not. It's just trying to communicate with you. So please listen to it and take care of it with compassion, gently, slowly, step by step, one day at a time, and you can get there.
I love it. So I love how this conversation comes really back to being authentic, being transparent, and really just relationships and a team, a health team that you surround yourself with. So I love all that. For those that are watching this, realize that you guys didn't have to come here. You didn't have to write this book. You didn't have to do this thing. So I would say take advantage of it. Let's make it something that is really going to do it. Checking out the Unlock Your Health Potential book, I'd say buy it. Buy it tomorrow. It's on Amazon. Or we're doing a, this probably won't come out, but we're getting ready to do a book signing, meet and greet, in a couple of days, here in Texas. But now's the time to listen to like Ronit said, listen to your body. Realize that it can, the things that you'd hoped for that you may have given up on, or you're so skeptical of all the noise, because there is a lot of noise.
Yes.
That drives me crazy.
Exactly.
Personally. And I'm not even a practitioner. I just hear all this hype.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hyperbole is not our friend, I don't think. So anyway, it's not very inspiring to me. So buy the book, get on the program, sign up for the analytics, get your report, and then go see your doctor, right, Russ?
Yep.
All right. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. This has been a great discussion. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate you serving this community and serving the world. This is going to go a lot further than your office, Russ, and I love that. I love that vision.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right.